Hey, what about now? Can y'all hear me now? Hey, can y'all hear me now? What about now? Can y'all hear me now? Okay. All right. Y'all can hear me now, right? All right. I can't hear that other camera sharing. Hold on one second. I'm gonna play the music and come right back. I'm gonna play the music and come right back. I was trying something out with sharing the other camera, but it's not working. I'll be right back. I'm gonna play this music produced by me, and then we'll get started. Y'all, please like and share the show. It's gonna be an interesting presentation, man. I know y'all gonna enjoy the presentation. I'm gonna play this music. Music is produced by me. It's a Texas feel because we're gonna be talking about Texas today. We'll be right back as I pull up the presentation. All right. Let me go back to my sound. All right, y'all can still hear me. Let me know if y'all can still hear me. First, I want to say peace and I don't know why my thing is feedback a little more. Peace, and Black African power, man. First, I want to say ETM Hotep, Dual, Dual Aku, Dual Necha, Fatmu Alafie, Fatmu Riwi. Let me cut this in here. This might be why too. Y'all let me know if y'all can still hear me too. And cut one of them speakers off too. So first I want to say ETM Hotep, Dua Aku, Dua Netcher, Fatmu Alafie, Fatmu Riri, Fatmu Iwa Pele, Majuba Iba Ie Gungun, Majuba Iba Ie Gungun, Majuba Iba Ie Lakba, Majuba Iba Ie Lakba. Um, Let me change this too. I don't, I'm a, no. Hold on, y'all. Let me change this resolution because I don't have the internet access to be that high resolution. But again, yeah, peace and black African power, man. First, again, man, I want to honor the ancestors, man. I always want to give honor and praises to the ancestors because without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. We are our ancestors, man. I hope everybody appreciated the joint, man. Kofi got the worst Yoruba in the community. But I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I'm trying, brother. I'm trying, man. I should have it down. I've been saying this for the past 3 years, man. When I always start the show, and I ain't got no better. You said I done got worse, Black Panther. But again, man, appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. Like I said, please like and share the show, man. Before I get started, please go and support Same Tree Different Branch Publishing. Go support all the publication that we have out. Go support the people publication that we produced last year. Support those publications that we're going to put that we're actually producing right now. We got a few things lined up. Our good brother has a book. I'll let him talk about that whenever that comes. We have 2 new clients. I have something that's coming at the top of September. Do we have a volume 5 is coming November. We have a few other things that's coming as well, man. But let's get into it, man. I'm gonna share my screen. Law, let me know when I'm sharing my screen, even though I should have had it already loaded up and uh loaded up in here. Share my screen. Let's see, share my screen. I don't like doing this share screen. I normally have it loaded up in here, and all I gotta go to is the window. Okay. Y'all hold on one second. Let me I don't want to be shown on here. Well, I show it on here. I can be shown on here. Y'all just let me know. I'm gonna enlarge it. So y'all can see the entire thing. Hold on, let me hit escape. Hold on one second, y'all. One second. Let me go back in here. Okay, stop sharing. Okay. All right. I'm gonna start back sharing my screen. All right, that's better. That's better. All right, let's get into it, man. Let me go back. All right, the presentation is called Little Egypt. Little Egypt in Dallas Freedmen settlement of 1863. I was talking to a brother before I get started. I wouldn't even knew if I wouldn't have had a conversation with Brother Voss on the phone, and we was kind of talking about it, for a minute or two, and man, thought it was an interesting bill. So I started doing some research. Man, it's not a lot of information dealing with this this Freeman settlement, So I had to dig, and pull up some news feeds, some scripts. So I got like a lot of primary information that's dealing with this thing and dealing with the project, man. So hopefully y'all appreciate this, man. Little Egypt in Dallas, Texas, the Freedmen settlement of 1863 to 1864. Always please go, if you hadn't subscribed, please subscribe to Kofi Piesie TV. Also subscribe to Mossy Warrior Clan. This is my saying, as I learn, we all learn. We know we go by this phrase. We live by this phrase. As I learn, we all learn. This is my disclaimer. This is me. To the audio. I'm still good. Teddy, y'all, am I still good? And my volume still good? I see you said what happened to the audio. I'm not gonna move further till y'all let me know. Am I still good? All right, appreciate it. Again, I always have to put a disclaimer out here before I get started. I am not a teacher, and please pay attention, man. Y'all, please pay attention when I say this so people can understand this. I'm not saying, I'm an expert. I am on a student. I'm not a teacher. I'm merely a student sharing information, and that information is provided for the educational purpose only. And if you are in doubt, do the research. And I'm gonna say that again: if you are in doubt, do the research and have it verified by someone qualified. I reserve the rights to change the focus of this presentation, to shut down, sell, or exchange the terms, or use by my own discretion. I reserve the right to add information as it comes available, or adapt changes, improve information as it comes available in the future. Inputs wanted, changes, additions, deletions, or encouraged. So keep that in mind. I always put a disclaimer out there. These are my sources. These is what I pull the sources, my source material from. I pause it at the end. I should have added them to the description. I'll probably go back later on and add them to the description. All right, these are my bullet points. So we're going to touch on Clive, Siegel, who is a historian, Tim Sullivan, an anthropologist, Little Egypt's founder of Hanna Hill, Jennifer Hill, what is the Freedmen? What did it mean to the Freedmen? Why the name Little Egypt? Little Egypt, first-hand accounts, the history keepers of Little Egypt, the Excavation, Anthropology in Texas, my thoughts and conclusions. Historians and anthropologists. All right, this is a historian. He's a professor. He teaches history at a college in Dallas called Richmond College. It is a community college. He's a professor there. This guy and another individual, which I'll show in a minute, these guys has launched a project to bring back to life this settlement called Little Egypt. This is Professor Tim Sullivan. He is an anthropologist at the School of Richmond College. And both of these individuals are responsible for bringing back to life this settlement that a lot of people don't know called Little Egypt in Dallas, Texas. Their fields of studies is complementary, where there is really no history record. This is where anthropologists come in to fill in those blanks. History are about people pertaining their daily lives, culture, and anthropologists is also about the study of people, of humans for prehistory and right now. And I just wanted to throw that out there because you got a historian and you got an anthropologist. And where there is nothing for an historical record, that's where the anthropologists come in. He dig, to try to find, certain relics or artifacts that's dealing with a certain group of people. Both history is, you could say, is a study of humans or the study of humanity, whether it's dealing with, whether it's cultural, traditional, language-wise, and etc. So both of their professional fields kind of go hand in hand. So that's where Tim Sullivan, the anthropologist, come in at, is because it's not a lot of history, or it's not a lot of data in the historical record that's surrounding this settlement of 1862 to to 1962 called Little Egypt. So they kind of go co in hand, and we know history, records historical data, whether it's through interviews, whether it's through oral tradition, or etc. Now I want to talk about Clive Siegel real quick, and how all of this project kind of got started. And I won't read it. Matter of fact, I just won't even read this, but I'll just talk about it real quick. Now, the historian, this individual, Clive Siegel, who is a professor, and they also now have classes, just like you have a study in Egypt called Egyptology, right? Now you have a study at this college that deals with Little Egypt. That's in this free settlement, a freedmen settlement in America. You now have a study where now students are learning and also contributing to the project of revitalizing and also bringing to life this community called Little Egypt. So Clive, he moved there in 1964. Now something happened in 1962, and I'll talk about that in a minute, in 1962, because that settlement lasted. The settlement was founded in 18, and we're going to talk about the founders. Was founded in 1883, excuse me, in 1883. And the settlement ended in 1962. But Clive, he moved to that area in 1964, 2 years after this community was demolished. And we'll talk about why the community was demolished. And there has not really been no historical record. It's like this community almost like is non-existence, man. But Clive, he began to, well, we'll get into that, man, because I want to talk about how the project actually got started. Now, this is also, when I talk about the study of Clive, also and Tim Sullivan also studied a curriculum that's dealing with that. I'm not going to go into that and read that neither, but the founders of Little Egypt Freedmen Settlement. It is Hanna Hill and Jeff Hill, January 1840 to January 43, age 103. I mean, she died at the age of 103, which is a blessing, man. And Jeff Hill, her husband, died February 1839, February the 9th, 1839. Well, no, he was born February 1839 and died March the 19th, 1925 at the age of 86. Now, Jeff Hill and Hanna Hill are the founders of Little Egypt. And I'm going to explain to you why I admire these two individuals. And I think that we can take something from Little Egypt and take something from the founders, Hanna Hill and Jeff Hill, which can inspire us and also be able to help us grow. Now, there's not a lot of hold on, let me see. And we're going to talk. It's not a lot of information dealing with Hanna Hill and Jeff Hill. So I had to go into try to go into the death records to try to find some more information on Hanna Hill and Jeff Hill. And we'll go into Hanna Hill a little bit, but there's really no information on Jeff Hill. But we do have I have a plot that I'll show you that this brother actually existed and his wife actually existed as well. But let's go into a freedman, because we talking about the freedman settlement, right? So what is the freedman settlement? The freedman settlement, otherwise known as black settlements, freedom colonies, and the freedom towns, a historical significant community found across South, including Texas from 1865 to 1930. Black Texans obtained land upon which these settlements were found via cash purchase or adverse possessions, often flooded prone bottomlands on the edge of the plantations and city boundaries. What did it mean to be a freeman? In the United States, the term freeman and free woman referred chiefly to formerly slaves emancipated during and after the American Civil War by the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment. Now, this is something that I got from out of the death records. It was just something that I got out of the death records. It's not like a whole lot of information on Hanna Hill or Jeff Hill, who were ex-kidnap victims who purchased some land. But we'll talk about that land and how many acres of land these people actually purchased. Hanna married Jeff Hill before 1870. Before 1870, they're probably ex-slaves. After the Civil War, they became part of the settlement of about 200 families known as Little Egypt. It was an area just north of a present Northway Highway between Adul and Fernandale in northeast Dallas. Their areas are inhabited by black sharecroppers and white farmers. In the 1880s census, Jeff was listed as a farm laborer. By 1900, he was a farmer and owned his own home. Hanna and Jeff had 13 or 14 kids. According to the death certificate, Hanna is buried in the Egypt Cemetery, which is eastmost section of McCray Cemetery. Her grave is not marked. Now, Hanna is buried in a different grave that her husband is buried in. She's buried in the Egyptian cemetery. So they have a cemetery called Egypt Cemetery. And her husband is buried in the McCray Cemetery. Now, here is the plot, head plot of Jeff Hill. This is in the McCray Cemetery. This is separate from his wife's cemetery. Jeff Hill, February the 9th, 1839, died March the 18th, 1925. They was also referred to, I don't know if they referred to themselves or outsiders referred to them as in Egyptians, but you'll hear a lot of people reference these people in Little Egypt as Egyptians as well. Why the name Little Egypt? Now, we'll talk about why the name Little Egypt. Now, I can understand why when I get into this, why they called it Little Egypt. Do I agree with why they called it Little Egypt? And what I'm saying, why I agree, I do not agree with the biblical narrative, or I do not agree with the biblical story, because there is no historical evidence outside the Bible that these people called Hebrews was actually enslaved by the Remich, or what we would consider today as the Egyptians. But we know those people did not call themselves Egyptians. We know that those people did not call that landmass Egypt. It was called, they referred to it as Timeri, you know what I'm saying, the beloved land, and they refer, they were Kemet, or Kemet, the riparian zone. And they refer to themselves as the Kimotu or the Remich. Remich just only means the people. So it was the first family's named it to the symbolic recall their deliverance from servitude, a reference from the Hebrews being bondage in Egypt and being free bondage or so-called slavery. Almost 100 years later, they taste freedom again, this time from the neglect of the city that had long ignored them. So they've called this settlement Little Egypt, you know what I'm saying, reference to the biblical narratives of Hebrews being enslaved and then now getting their freedom and going to a place, a land of milk and honey. So that's, so they're reference, or they're drawing from that biblical story, and now they're naming that settlement Little Egypt. You know what I'm saying? They went through that in the biblical narrative in Egypt, and now they went through slavery within the United States, and through the Emancipation Proclamation, they are now free. Little Egypt was located north of Northwest Highway between Ferndale or Adele, near the White Rock Lake within the city limits of Dallas and in Dallas County. The community began after the Civil War, when the site was deeded to former slave Jeff and Hanna, when they were freed by their master in 1865. Yes, it was deeded, and this was one of the sources that I pulled, but we have another source. We actually have two sources. One of the sources by the historian Clive and the anthropologist Sullivan, and another source that the land was actually purchased. Their purchase, which we'll talk about that in a minute, how much they purchased. I mean, the cost of the land that they purchased and how many acres of land that they actually purchased. Were freed by their masters in 1865. By 1870, they had built the Little Egypt Baptist Church, and the community became known as Little Egypt because the residents were delivered from bondage, as in the biblical story. Now, the church was the center. They had a church called Egypt Chapel Baptist Church, but that church was built later on. I think that church might have was built in 1920, if I'm not mistaken. I think the church was built, but that church was the center of Little Egypt, meaning that this is where everybody would go and gather. You know what I'm saying? This is where the think tanks would go and gather. This, and the church had influence over the community decisions, which you will see later on what happened to this freedmen settlement called Little Egypt. And we'll show some pictures of Little Egypt. There's not a lot of the pictures that I'm going to show. Hopefully y'all be able to see them. They kind of blur, like I'm saying. We're talking about 1860s. These people was trying to build a settlement, trying to build homes. They were trying to sustain themselves on this great amount of acres of land. So, you know, it wasn't a lot of pictures that was actually taken. Some of the pictures that was taken are old. I'm saying old timing pictures that didn't come out too well, but we're going to show that in a little bit. Though Little Egypt was officially within Dallas city limits, it remained a distinct community until 1962, when the developed about 30 to 35 acres tract, which across the streets from North Lake Shopping Center, the retail development. The purchase followed a November 1961 rezoning of the area for retail use. At this time, community residents were served by dirt streets and lack of running water, electricity, gas, indoor plumbing, and the 28 families who own land in the community. 23rd wishes to find new homes close to one another. Since the house is a Little Egypt was dilapidated, and some residents feared for the building will be condemned, they were in favor of selling the land. Now I'm gonna stop it before, and I'm gonna go into now when we're talking about this settlement was started in 1862, and through 18. Well, I don't want to talk about that because that's going to be in my thoughts and my conclusion, so I won't give that away. But people started development. They started rezoning. Development started taking place. So during this period of time in Little Egypt, they did not have proper run. They didn't have indoor plumbing. They didn't have water. They shared electricity, and they shared one phone line in this community. They lived there for so many years, and development started to surround around this freedmen settlement. So they ended up, trying to get, running water, indoor plumbing, more electricity, but this settlement was denied all those different things. So when the rezoning took place, now you have these developers who start to come in, want to buy up this land, which was a quite amount of land that Jeff and Hanna actually purchased in 1863, right? So these developers wanted to put up shopping malls, they wanted to put up gas stations, they want to put up restaurants. So they went in this area and tried to buy out everybody, in which they eventually did. When we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Fear the building will be condemned. They were in favor of selling the land. In May 1962, 200 residents of Little Egypt moved their new homes, led by the community patriarch William Hill, who was 89 at the time. And this patriarch, which I'll show y'all in a minute, is in the documents is saying, like in Hannah's death records that I seen, they had 13 or 14 kids. Now, William Hill, at this particular time when they sold their land to these developers, William Hill was still alive, because we're gonna get an account from William Hill. But you also have an account with saying that William was actually yeah, that's what I appreciate, Sutek, man, appreciate that. But William Hill they were saying that this was his grandson, but through the historical records, from what I seen, more things, it was they were their son. William Hill was the son. The families were given enough money to buy new houses, and most of them settled either in Oak Cliff or Rockwell County. In 1980, controversy arose in which former residents of Little Egypt were portrayed being taken advantage of for the commercial gain of wide developers. The land is now occupied by North Lake shopping centers and large homes atop of the road here. Now, this is a picture. Now, this picture is kind of blurry. Now, the church was very influential in the decision, right? Because the church was the center of the community. The Egypt Chapel Baptist Church, right? So they all met there and they all agreed that they would sell their lands to these developers. They not only sell the land, but they will only sell these houses. These houses was kind of like some shotgun houses that they build over the land. So once the deal was sealed in 1962, man, in one day, they saying in one day, those 200 families moved in one day, and within that same day or the next day, that community was bulldozer. So here's a picture of them and moving trucks. Here is another. This is the moving truck right here. I know it's kind of blurred. These are old pictures that I was able to retrieve. I knew it was blurred. Even if I small the pictures, you still wouldn't be able to see it that good. But this is another moving. This is look at what the houses may look like. Like I said, kind of like shotgun houses that they build, and those houses was in the purchase as well. It's another picture. It's kind of blurred. I know y'all probably can't see it. They own cars. This is another picture of them, in Little Egypt. The little outhouse. I guess this is where they keep the tools. These people were agriculturists. They were farmers. There's another house, and I don't know what that is that they grow and look like bushes, but it may be a flowers or something. Another picture of a house, them pulled up at the house in the truck. Another picture right here, a woman, and I don't know who house that is behind them, but just trying to give y'all kind of a visual of what this free settlement looked like. Now, this is the church, but I'll show you a better picture of what the Egypt Chapel Baptist Church looked like. Next slide shows some of the old documents of scripts from WBAP TV and NBC station in Fort Worth, Texas, covering the news stories about residents of Little Egypt being bought out and their property so that the new shopping centers were built. So there is actually something I was able to retrieve, which was the NBC station in Dallas news script of them actually talking to William Hill and a few other people. Y'all know y'all probably can't be able to see this, but this is the original script. It says from 1887, old William Hill, which was the patriarch at that time, which was the patriarch of that community in 1962, who they say were the son, or it could possibly been Hanna and Jeff's grandson. He was the patriot of that community at that time when the deal was taking place. Moves of giving up the place he called home for 76 years. Hill's grandparents, Jeff and Hanna Hill, settled in the area in 1865 on land given to them, which it was not given to them, it was purchased. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, how much they purchased and how many acres they purchased, right? Newly freed slaves. Hill sisters Olivia say there is a little regrets among families which are leaving. For all there is a prospect of new and better lives in recent years, Little Egypt tumbled down shacks on the right side of the tracks came to surround by fashionable homes. Since 1870, the Egypt Chapel Baptist Church has been the center of the community activities. Its pastor, the Reverend J.B. Body, says new modern churches is being built in Cedar Crest, additional of Oak Cliff, where many of the little Egyptian residents have put a down payment. So I know a lot of people may know about Oak Cliff, right? Um, Oak Cliff, and the only reason why I know about Oak Cliff, yeah, I'm not from Texas, but the only reason why I know about Oak Cliff is for the rappers, Trap Boy Freddy and Mo 3. We know Mo 3 is from Oak Cliff. We know Trap Boy Freddy is from Oak Cliff. And doing their movement, the money that they took, and a lot of these people they say still resides in Oak Cliffs and other different places within Dallas. But they said, but a lot of those 200 families that moved out in 1962 that sold their land, they moved and they bought homes in Oak Cliff. And they said some of those people still resides in Oak Cliff. One of the families that we're actually going to talk about here in a minute. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, RIP. Well, I'm not going to say RIP because, because in African culture, there's actually no resting in peace. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I'll talk about that another time where when we talk about ancestor veneration. People that have my book, they might understand what I'm saying. There's no rest in peace in African culture. But rest in peace to Mo 3 though. So and this is an old image right here. I hope y'all can see this. This is the patron, and it's like I'm saying. They saying that it was his mother. They were saying that this were their son or their grandson. I'm not sure which one it was. Like I said, in the death documents, it lists Hannah's children. It lists all of her children. And William Hill is listed as one of her children and not her grandson. But, like I'm saying, I'm unsure with that. But at that time, whether it was their son or their grandson, he was listed as a patriot of Little Egypt at that time. He was living when the deal took place, when those families sold their homes to those developers. Now, this is the Little Egypt Baptist Church right here. This is an image of Little Egypt Baptist Church. Like I said, this church was very influential in the community decisions. They were very, this is where they met when they agreed upon to take the development. This was the day that they celebrated, and the last day before they moved out on the next day, because like I said, the next day, those 200 families moved out the same day. You know what I'm saying? And they got quite a amount of money for the land and the houses from those developers, where they was able to go on and purchase land and purchase houses. And they believe that they made a good decision. And the reason why I'm saying that they believe, because you had to look at, even when this settlement was in development, and and so forth, and people start to come into Little Egypt and reside in Little Egypt, right? They shared electricity, and there was only they shared one phone line, right? And they had no in-house plumbing. So those people, man, you just, and so they kind of had some harsh conditions. They had no inside plumbing. So on a cold day, let's say, man, if it was snowing or it was freezing, they had to come outside of their houses and go into those outhouses just to use the bathroom, man. So that, man. I know that would have been rough for me, man, going outside, man, and it's 15 degrees outside. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's snow on the ground. I gotta go outside, you know what I'm saying, to use the outhouse. You know what I'm saying? And like they shared electricity, man. No water, no really water, running water. So through this development deal, they was able to purchase these nice homes that had central air units, or air. You know what I'm saying? More space. You know what I'm saying? In a better area. Everyone is have in-house bathrooms, electricity. Everybody can have their own landline to a phone. Moving day with all its problems, it is a pleasure for the Dan Brooks family with their 5 children and 4 grandchildren who lived at home. Their new addresses on Robin Road near Love Field has all of these things were non-existent in the Little Egypt. Plumbing, sewage, natural gases, and pavement streets. Yeah, they also didn't have any paved streets. It was all dirt roads. Their 3-bedroom bricks have air conditioning and central heat. The cost of the move was thrown in parts of the deal with the paid for the shopping center syndicate. 37 trucks and several passenger cars were used to complete the move in one day, like I said. So these are people, writing and telling like they actually moved in one day, man. The history keepers of Little Egypt, Texas. And I'm saying these are the history. These are the McCoy sisters, Gloria on the left and Jonah on the right. When Little Egypt existed, these are two people that lived in Little Egypt, but they was little girls at that time. And like I said, when we talking about history and we talking about recording the historical record, it could be also firsthand accounts from people who actually lived there. You know what I'm saying? It could be oral traditions. So these people was able to help with the project of bringing back to life Little Egypt, right? So, and I'm saying they are the gate, they are, you could say, the historical keepers, because when I talked about they shared electricity and they had one phone line that they shared. Their family was the house that had the phone. So these girls were have to go and get the people when these, in the other community, they had phone calls. So they remember everybody that lived at that particular time in Little Egypt, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody would come to their house to use the telephone or to receive phone calls. They would go get them. So they had, they knew everybody in the community. So they shared a lot of the stories, you know what I'm saying, with Professor Clive, who was a historian at Richard College, as well as Tim Sullivan, who is a professor of anthropology at Richard College, as well. Because again, there's not a lot of information dealing with Little Egypt. So they was able to get some more information from these two sisters who were little girls at the time. At the time Little Egypt actually existed. So they knew everybody because they had to go get everybody, you know what I'm saying? If they had a phone call, because like I said, they shared electricity and they shared a phone line. The McCoys have shared stories of life in Little Egypt with Siegel and the students of Richland College in Dallas. The professor and colleagues, Tim Sullivan, teaches a class about the old neighborhood. They do more lectures. Sullivan, the anthropologist professor, has conducted digs in Little Egypt. So they are conducting digs in Little Egypt. And you probably would say, how is they conducting digs in Little Egypt when they sold the land and the developers came in and built on top of it? As they demolished Little Egypt, they build shopping malls, they build restaurants, they build service stations, right? We're going to talk about that in a minute. Now, here are, hold on, let me go back. So here is an image of them actually setting up to get ready to dig. And this is and they use numerous, and well, I'll go ahead and say they used numerous different places. I'll give, because I don't want to give it away yet, but this is the students right here. Again, they set up within the college, they set up a curriculum. You got the history class and the anthropology class are now tuning up. Yeah, Richland College again. And I say Richmond dinner. Yeah, Richland College. But now you got students from Richland College that's in that's in the Professor Clive history class. And you got students who are in Tim Sullivan anthropology class are now teaming up to create this project to revitalize or to bring back to life and this place called Little Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And find out more about Little Egypt, you know what I'm saying, and fully put it in the historical records, right? So they're actually been digging in different places in Little Egypt, but we'll talk about those places in a minute. Now I'm gonna play this video real quick. It's just a short-lived video. Let me see if let me go back here. Move this. Hold on. Let me do this. Share video. It's just a small little news video. Let's see if it'll let me do it. Oh, cancel. Hold on. Share. Video file. It's supposed to already be in here. Hold on, y'all. Let me see something, man. Slide extra camera video file. And it might have took it out of there when I did this other thing. Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can, I can get it and pull it up. Let's see. Option download. Matter of fact, I'll just play it from over here. Hold on, let me get it. It's not gonna let me do it neither. Well, I wanted to play a video, man, but I'm not able to play the video. I actually updated something in StreamYard, and it took my stop screen. It took my video out of here, man. But I had a video. It was just a little video. Let me see if it let me do it like this. It still won't let me. Let me see if it do if I hit desktop. All right, hold on. Yep, so let me do it. I want to play the video. Let's see if it'll let me open it. Might not let me open it like this neither. It's not letting me open it. But I just wanted to play a little video, man, of the news coverage of the NBC News actually talking about this town and talking to people in that community that don't know anything about Little Egypt and been staying there for 70 some years and don't even know anything about this freedmen settlement, man. I should have checked that after I updated what I did in StreamYard. But we can go on to the next slide, man. They found tile glass objects, small orange spike pounds, and by students now dotted the field. Richland College student Natalie Groman, 20, worked the dig. I never really thought something like this could be so close to home. Grunman says, I always thought anything, any archaeological digs would be in a different country or just wouldn't be so close to the dig Groman worked where McCoy's home once stood. So, like I said, they are actually digging in different places. One of the places that they're digging is a place where I said these sisters who I call the keepers of Little Egypt history, right? They're digging there. They're digging in the McCray Cemetery. They're digging in the Egypt Cemetery. They're digging in on a little lot of land as well. The students not only conducted digs, but they also historical documents, census data, and interviews with people who lived in the near Little Egypt to tell their story. In early 16s, the McCoy sisters say that their dad fought but failed to get running water into Little Egypt. He had seen city sprinkling waters nearby flagpoles, and he, with this black neighborhood, could not get running water, says Jonah McCoy. Some from there, he really kind of decided he would do better and we could do better as a family. In 1961, McCoy moved west to the small modern homes near Love Field. The next year, the Lake Highland was expanded. 200 Little Egyptians residents agreed to a mass buyout. A few dozen trucks moved everyone out. New homes scattered across North Texas. Egypt Chapter Church was moved as well. Like I said, Egypt Chapel Church, Egypt Chapel Baptist Church. Now it's still called Egypt. They moved into Oak Grove. Now, before I go into my thoughts, Now I thought I had put this on here, but the land was purchased by them for $300. Jeff and Hanna purchased 35 acres of land for $300. So they had 35 acres of land, 35 acres. And they settled on this land and, welcome people to come in on all of this land, right? And due to buyout, they was on this land from 1863, these 35 acres, they was on these 35 acres from 1883 to 1962. When the buyout took place in 1962 and the developers crushed Little Egypt and they began to put up shopping malls, restaurants, and service stations, out of the 35 acres of land, there were a place where they actually surveying, where they collected some stuff through the dig, and they're still digging now, trying to collect different things. They found certain things. Is one of the places is a plot of land that the McCoy sisters lived on. That place is untouched. Nothing was built on top of that. So now they're going in and they're digging in that specific place too, and now they're trying to reach through technology, trying to restructure through these 3D images and stuff of what the house actually looked like, how it looked. So they're trying to do like a whole lot of stuff with the land. And they're, through the dig, some of the things that they're finding, they're adding on to the stories of Little Egypt, as well as the McCoy sisters adding on to the stories as well. So, and so these are my thoughts and my conclusions. Little Egypt was founded in 1863 by ex-kidnapped victim Jeff and Hanna Hill. From their $300 purchase of 35 acres, they were able to create a settlement for other kidnapped victims who got their freedom. We have to salute the ancestors, Jeff and Hanna, for their selfless acts. I resonate with them because I am the same, and I am more concerned about the needs of others. So, and I'm saying this, and I'll stop and I'll go further because these are my thoughts and my conclusion. They demonstrated selfless acts. They could have been like we are today, where we're selfish. Like we're selfish. Most of us today, if we purchase 35 acres of land, we're not going to let people that we don't know come and settle and, hey, man, you can square out you a piece of lot right here. You can square out you a piece of lot right here. You can square out you a piece of lot right here, man. Bring your family. I know you got kids, man. I got 35 acres, man. Go get you a lot over here, or go get you an acre over here, or I survey everything surveyed. Where it's surveyed, hey, go pick you out a plot of land right there, man, and build you a house. So these people were, they was not selfish. They had 35 acres of land, and they allowed people to come on their land and build homes and be able to sustain their homes. Like I said, these people were agriculturists, they were farmers. You know what I'm saying? So they farmed, right? Some of them were sharecroppers. We know what sharecroppers were too, So I resonate with them because I am the same. I am more concerned about the needs of others. I think we Africans, Americans, or Africans in America would put ourselves to the side and commit unselfish acts. We would have more. And this is my opinion. I believe that if we put ourselves to the side and we started looking out for one another, not just for selves. I'm going to get the bag. I'm going to get the bag for myself, but we going to get the bag for each other, and we help each other out. Then I believe, man, we would have more, man, if we were less selfish. But some of us will get to the top, of the upper echelons ladder, and we'll step on those that we feel are beneath them. We won't pull them up this upper echelons letter. We won't give them the game. You know what I'm saying? We won't provide opportunities for them. Man, I worked hard for this. So I'm saying, man, these ancestors, man, they exhibited selfless acts, man. They allowed and gave people land. I also commend Professor Clive, a historian, and Professor Tim, anthropologist, for trying to bring back to life the Freedmen settlement called Little Egypt. Because I'm going to tell you, if it wasn't for these two individuals asking questions or even creating a curriculum at the college and even getting and getting their classes to be involved in this project, you know, when these two guys died, if it wouldn't, people probably wouldn't, know really nothing about these, because over the times, you look at certain things, their names are going to pop up because they're behind the projects of bringing back to life this Freedmen settlement. You know what I'm saying? So they've been putting in money and getting different people, to support the projects. And now they're digging and they're even offering opportunities for other people that's not a part of Clive history class and Tim's anthropology class for extra credit to come out and excavate the land that they're excavating, the cemetery, Egypt cemetery, McCray cemetery, this plot of land that the McCoys actually lived on that was untouched during the demolition, and these shopping malls, restaurants, and service stations will build on. I hope this is on is a I hope with this ongoing project we are able to gain some insight into how they live their day to day and what they went through as a community. With this project, I hope the story of Texas Egyptians is never forgotten again and recorded in the historical record fully. And I'm hoping that, with this on, like I'm saying, through this ongoing project, that they get their little Egypt get their proper recording fully in the historical record. Because right now with this project, they are piecing together. Let me stop sharing. Hold on. Stop sharing. Okay. So, and what I'm saying by that is, I just hope, because they're piecing together little Egypt, right? So, because there's not a lot of information dealing with them. So, through the digs, through the interviews, which the McCoy people were very instrumental in helping with this project. Because again, like I said, the McCoy sisters, who I say are the Little Egypt history keepers, are telling the history to the professors, where now they can be able to record this information into the historical data, because they were little girls when Little Egypt existed, and they were the ones, or they were the families that they were the only family that had a phone. So they shared a phone within those 200 families on those 35 acres of land in Little Egypt in Dallas, Texas, right? So they, what I'm saying, like I said, was very instrumental in bringing that back, and them piecing together certain things, and even going out and now doing digs. And they're finding certain things through these digs, and hopefully through them still digging in certain places that was untouched by the developers, that they able to bring back or bring forth more information dealing with this Freeman community called Little Egypt, man. And hopefully that, just with the little information that I was able to piece together, we're pulling scripts from news feeds, going and, pulling death records, looking into Richland College and their curriculum, where I found Clive and Tim Sullivan, who forefronting this project, man. Just with those two individuals alone, them taking $300, and man, I wish I could take $300 today and purchase 35 acres of land today. But they purchased those 35 acres and wasn't selfish with those 35 acres of land, man. So they welcome other freemen or free women, what I'm saying, into their settlement, what I'm saying, where they was able to build a community called Little Egypt. And I'm very interested in some of the day-to-day activities that these people, and maybe the outsiders, because what I'm reading, I don't think that they refer to themselves as Egyptians, but they did name their place Little Egypt, dealing with the biblical narrative of Hebrews being in slavery and then getting freed, and then them being in America and being enslaved or in bondage, and then being freed by the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. And this freedman and free woman, Jeff and Hannah Hill, bought these 35 acres of land and build a settlement for other freedmen to come in and have a place to stay, you know what I'm saying, have a plot of land where they able to grow their own things, you know what I'm saying, or it just be proud of owning something at that particular time, man. So we got to salute those ancestors, man, for actually doing that. And like I said, with this project, hopefully with this ongoing project, we able to see more information develop on the ongoing develop, because I'm very interested in the day-to-day of what these people in Little Egypt, you know, actually, actually did. So with the help of Ridgeland College and the historian Clive and the anthropologist Tim, you know, more stuff will be, come to the surface and be developed, man. So I just thought it was interesting, man. And Vasa shared this with me, and I just went and did, because I was trying to find some information. I just like, damn, it's really nothing. So, I put my little investigation skills, and started looking at the database in Dallas, death records in Dallas, and those places that they say Little Egypt were, digging into Clive and Tim, what the project was about, and but I think it's very interesting in how people live there. I live about 30 minutes north of there. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Wow. Alika, I mean, I'm excuse me if I'm not pronouncing your name. Alika, I mean, did you know about Little Egypt? Did you know about Little Egypt? Wait, and I know Chavis had talked to somebody last night, and he showed me they didn't even know. She said I didn't, and that's why I wanted to show y'all the little video. You got people that had been living there for 70 years, and the news was interviewing these people, and and especially this one individual, it was an elder guy, man. Say he been there for 70 years and ain't never heard of Little Egypt at all. So, like I said, hopefully with this project, they be able to fully bring back the life of Little Egypt, and we get a better understanding of what they're calling the Egyptians in America, who was in this free settlement called Little Egypt. We know they weren't Egyptians, but that was the place that they call it. And like I'm saying, even if you see some small footage, these people are calling them Egyptians. And everything that they had Egyptian on it. The landmass were called Little Egypt. The church were called Egypt Chapter Baptist Church. Um, they had a cemetery called Egypt Cemetery. So just because the area is so expensive and no signs of us unless you go to the south. Okay, she said I didn't. One thing I know that Kofi is how we're isolated during the epochs of history. Even the Freedmen burial had struggle watching over places we resided in, making it hard to only protect ourselves. That was a dude, Kofi. Just because the area, okay, yeah, I just read that. Yeah, so you saying Alike, so you saying that place is expensive? I'm quite sure it probably is, because during the time of um the settlement, Little Egypt was existing. Later on in time, surrounding that 35 acres of land, if you look on the map, you started seeing communities started, what we would call middle class communities. And these middle class communities were having, nice houses, air conditioner, indoor plumbing, running water. Everybody's not sharing electricity. And and um and this was really sparked, the interest of the McCoy's father, and others as well, seeing that outside of their community, they're now seeing people with indoor plumbing, running water. They wanted some of the same things, you know, and from my understanding, they wasn't able, or the people wasn't willing to provide this freedmen settlement with running water, more electricity, um, uh, and etc. And then 1962, these great amount of acres, these 35 acres of land, these developers wanted to capitalize off those 35 acres of land and build shopping malls, restaurants, and shopping centers. So, they went in, and I think, like I said, the Egypt chapter Baptist Church were very influential with them making this, with the community making any decision, right? And I think one person who was part of that church, um, she were the broker between the developers are actually getting the deal, the deal closed. So, and I think, so she had to collect, make sure people own the land, so I think she had to collect deeds. There were a lot of stuff I think that they had to messages here, that they actually had to do. I can't think of the lady name that was a part of the church that I read. But I think like she was like the go in between for those developers to make sure that the deal actually taking place. And they met at the I think they met at the church, and they all agreed. You know what I'm saying? And that was something too. They all agreed. It wasn't one person. So I'm thinking, even with any decision that it was made a collective. And you know and I guess they moved in unison. So and they moved in unison with developing. Like I said, they wanted a better life. They couldn't get certain amenities that they wanted. So now, with the money that is promised to them from their land and their houses, now they're able to move, because not only in the deal were the houses, the land, they wanted the land, but now the lady was able to get the land, the houses included, and also get the moving included. Like I showed you some of the pictures of the moving trucks. I think they said it was 37 moving trucks came in. They all moved in the same day. So that expense for them moving, when you seen those trucks, that expenses was also included into those people moving, moving. So they just moved into a better area. And a lot of those people, they said, moved into Oak Cliff. Oak Cliff. And they said some of those people still reside in Oak Cliff. And like I said, the church, it actually moved out of Little Egypt, and it moved in Oak Cliff as well. And there is another member of the church who they're trying to interview right now to get some information. He's an elder who actually lived in Little Egypt. All his other family has died off, but and the church was also the new church that moved to Oak Cliff, I think, was influential in connecting um um connecting the McCoy sisters with the historian professor and the anthropology professor at that college, where they was able to give them more information. Yeah, they say it's a majority Black community, but they're saying that's where a lot of people from Little Egypt went into. There was other pockets of Dallas that they went into, but majority, and the reason why they say majority of them went into Oak Cliff, because that is where the church resides at. You know what I'm saying? And the Egyptian chapter Baptist Church was the center of the activities surrounding Little Egypt, right? So they only just, so they don't make, and the church still exists today. They still running, the church is still running. Like I said, they was very instrumental in getting the McCoys to interview with Clive and Tim, those professors at the school. right? So I just wanted to, I just thought it was interesting, man, and just wanted to share that, man. Little Egypt in Dallas, man, and why I had never heard of this place, even though I'm not from Texas, but I consider myself, versed in a lot of things, and I read a lot, so I don't know why. But like I said, I understand why now. These are painful stories for me to hear. The struggle just to raise a family, but to have a small few that are still alive, have the memories, and to confirm that the community did exist. Right, it did exist. So, like I said, hopefully through this project, they get their just due. There be definitely recorded in the historical records, because and I'm shouting out those two professors, and then the reason why is because if it wasn't for them asking questions, right, and trying to conduct interviews and conduct digs and get other people involved in this, if those brothers wouldn't have been interested, and then who are going to be able to tell, who else are going to know? And this guy Clive, he lived in this area in 1964. The community was demolished in 1962. So he moved in that area. Like I said before, then there were already buildings taking place when the Freedmen settlement was already in place. Like I told you, these middle class areas. So his family moved in those areas in 1964, 2 years. But doing the building on those 35 acres, they didn't utilize the whole 35 acres. So now they're taking those places that's not utilized, and they're digging, they're doing excavations in that um in that place now. But him noticing, being there, that certain things just didn't look right in that community, where Clive began to start questioning certain things and started digging. So if he wouldn't inquire, okay, why in this alley and this dirt road and this look like this, and this area don't look like it belonged here, and nothing was built right here for so amount of years, if he wouldn't have been questioning and then started digging, we probably wouldn't even know about Little Egypt. Because like I'm saying, anybody can Google Little Egypt right now, and or even go on YouTube. You can't, it's not a lot of information dealing with this Freedmen community at all. And like I said, I had to go through the Dallas records. I had to go through the news, see anything about the news feed, if anybody recorded anything about the news feed, which I was able to pull up a script that actually interview, where I actually was talking about the move and the patron of that community. So I showed you original document of that. It was another document I could have showed you that I could have had pulled up of a newspaper clipping that I had. And it's on the other computer. That's why I didn't show it to you, but I wanted to show you the news clipping of them talking about, them talking about Little Egypt. But I was able to pull that from out of the Dallas newspaper, that clipping. I tapped into the database, the the death records of some of the people who, that lived in this area. So it was hard to find. So I was able to pull together some information. Even with the Wikipedia thing, it's a short article on that, where so you can't get a lot of information on that. So hopefully I did a good job, man, of bringing to light this community, you know what I'm saying, and highlighting the founders, because that was my main goal, was just highlighting the selfless acts of the founders, you know what I'm saying, Hannah Hill and Jeff Hill, who purchased these 35 acres of land, allow other people to come on their acres and, build a life for themselves, where they're able to sustain themselves and, their family, man. You got to admire those people, you know what I'm saying, for that, and like I said, hopefully, in a few years they get their just due, where Little Egypt is fully recorded into uh the historical record. You did. I made it a point to listen in today. Okay, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I grew up in east side of San Antonio. I didn't know about Ellis Alley. Yeah, and through, there's a lot of stuff, man, that through just looking at this, there was other freemen settlements that was in Texas, man, that I had never heard of. And I think it was something, in San Antonio. something in San Antonio. It was a cool few other places, man, that I said, that I didn't get a chance to read it because I was trying to hurry up and pull something together for um, to present y'all with something because I kind of found it interesting. You know what I'm saying? You did a great job, especially so fast, y'all. Y'all don't get how quickly he worked on this one. They don't. And from that conversation, that whole week, man, I just started researching and pulling stuff, man, and I'll do something before I went to work while I was at work. Um, when I got off of work, man, and try to pull some stuff together because I couldn't actually honestly, you know, digging into this, it just I don't know, man. I just couldn't help myself, man. I wanted to try to find out more about this, more about the settlement, more about the people. What they what they did. Why why they really named the place Little Egypt. Just the day to day activities, man, or what went on in the place. In I checked it, a park and ride now. Shaking my head. Divine Life is Ellis Ave inside. But oh, all right, but but again, man, I want to say peace, man, and Black African power, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, man, and watching the show. We got and matter of fact, before I go, man, I gotta do this. I gotta ain't nobody paying you no damn attention, son. I like I said, I just want to make this my business. I just want to make, acknowledge people's existence, man. That's just something simple, man, that we can do, and I want to acknowledge, all the people that was in here, was out, Donnie Williams, Black Panther, Teddy Usher, my aunt Ra, my brother Chavis McCray, um, Thea Cross, uh, my good brother Jehudi, my aunt, um, Boom. I don't know who Boom is. Vasa Nicolo Gullah. Um, who else? Alika Amin. Um, who else? And here, my good brother Zane Matigo. Um, who else in here? I seen somebody else. Robert Ram. Um, Divine Life, Harem Wilson of Wilson Poetry in Cape, Texas. Oh, he's saying okay. I'm Divine Life, another example of a community conscious after captivity. I'm gonna have to check that out, Divine. Um, and I guess that's everybody else. Oh, okay, yeah, that's everybody else, man. It's just something, man, that we can do, man. Acknowledge people existence. Like I said, man, we walk past everybody every day, man, and don't acknowledge other people existence. I am, therefore we are. You know what I'm saying? Or I am because you are. I am because you exist. And everything is everything. Shout out to you. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, man, over here, man, I'm African centered out over here, man. And people can say what they want to say about Africa and some of African practices. But you know, some of those things that our ancestors had, man, was very, very instrumental, man, in their growth. And one of them is good character. So good character trait is acknowledging someone existing. So if you're walking around and you're trying to exemplify good character and you're talking about good character and you walk past another person that looks like you and you don't speak to them, that is not good character. So always acknowledge someone exists. And even if you don't want to speak, give them a head nod. We head nod, shake their hand, how you doing? So like I'm saying, and I want to just keep reiterating that, man. And shout out to the Caribbean people, man, in East Africa, because they understood this as well, and they have so many forms of greetings to acknowledge people existence. That community is surrounded around acknowledging someone's existence, man. So let's acknowledge everyone's existence, man. So again, man, I want to say peace and Black African power, man. I appreciate everybody, man, for tuning in to Kofi Piesie TV with Kofi Piesie. I'm gonna try to be consistent. I've been consistent since I got my mind right. Um, so I've been back for the past 3 weeks. So I'll be back hopefully next week. It's gonna be rough on me, but I'll try to come back next week and do something else. I got something else in mind that I could do. So hopefully I'll be able to do that and stay consistent, man, and get people, you know what I'm saying, interesting, man, and what we got going on over here. And if you missed the presentation from last week, Mandingo Theory, um, what is it called? Mandingo Theory, Castration of Africans and Sex Crazed Conceptualization. Go check out that one, and go check out the Ethiopianism, you know what I'm saying, the Ethiopian church and the AME church presentation that I did um uh 2 weeks ago, man. Those are some great presentations as well, man. Some subject matters that people are not talking about. So I'm gonna try to just keep bringing some subject matters that people are not talking about and stay in my own lane. I'm gonna do my own thing, you know what I'm saying? And get back to the basics, and that is teaching is teaching, you know what I'm saying? And also trying to bring on some more interviews later on down the line, because I did that for the past 2 years of interviewing people, and I want to bring on some great people, man, to interview. And it don't have to be anybody from the so-called conscious community, you know what I'm saying? It could be a you know, regular person working a regular 9 to 5. It don't have to be one of these uh celebrities, conscious community persons. We got our celebrities in the conscious, so-called conscious community, man. But hopefully, man, we'll be able to get those interviews back up and running, man. But again, man, like I said, man, peace and Black African power. Um, and I'm out of here. I'm gonna leave y'all with a song, man. And also, man, continue to go patronize our business, man. I'm so amped, man. I'm so back to life now, man. We got so much stuff coming for y'all, man. Whether it's directly with the team or indirectly with the team, or even new clients, man. We got some new clients stuff that we're working on. We just finished a new client book. We're working on 2 other clients book, man. We're doing something different with one book, a poetry book. So, man, y'all be on the lookout for all the projects. Even the presentation I did last week, it's turning into a book, The Mandingo Theory. So be on the lookout for The Mandingo Theory, Castration of Africans and the Sex Crazed Conceptualization book. Hopefully by September, I got my outline. This week I start with my introduction in my first chapter this week. And hopefully by September, that small book will be out. That is an interesting conversation about castration. We don't talk about castration or the sex craze or the paranoia ideology of the European or even the Arab, you know what I'm saying, within the Sahara slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade. But peace and Black African power, man. I'm gonna leave y'all with I'm so man. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I'm just in a good mood. I'm in a mood. I'm in a good mood. I've been in a good mood. That's why I've been back on here. So I'm gonna leave y'all with another upbeat track that produced by me. If you're looking for music, also, man, I do music. You know what I'm saying? You want your book published? We publish books. If you want some art designs, we do art designs and graphics for clothing businesses as well, man. But I'm gonna leave y'all with my I ain't got a name for the song, but it's a song I sample. It's a soul track that I sample, man. Y'all let me know how y'all like it, man. But I'm out of here, man. Ooh, yeah.